Well, it's an exciting day. Welcome all. Let me introduce the participants who are up on the table with me. Well, we have many, many participants who made today possible, and I want to welcome all of you and thank all of you very much. To my right, we have Amy Cohen, who needs no introduction, who has been a powerful, powerful force. To Amy's right, Alfonso David, who's my counsel, who's been working on this bill. I want to thank him very much for his good work. I'm going to save you for a moment, young lady. We then have Senator Andrew Gennardis, who has been a leader on this issue.
He's the best one!
Yeah. And as Assemblymember Deborah Glick, who I have to tell you has been a pioneer in so many issues. Deborah passed the first speed camera bill. We did that back in 2014, and she has been a fantastic, fantastic advocate. And we wouldn't be here today without Deborah and Andrew. Today is also Mother's Day. And it is fitting. I have my mother with me today, Matilda Rafa Cuomo, former First Lady. And it is the day, one day of the year where we take a moment out to do what we should do every day of the year, which is to thank our mothers, to thank them for the love, for the patience, for the comfort, for the understanding, maybe to thank them for all the extra energy they gave us and maybe the unnecessary grief that we gave them. But there's an old Italian expression, two things in life that will never leave you: the eye of God and the love of a mother. Gives fathers a little bit of short shrift, but that is true. And a mother's instinct, a father's instinct, a parent's instinct is first and foremost to protect their child all their life. I can tell you my mother still protects me. If somebody criticizes me in the newspaper, she will never forgive them. I call her at night after, and she'll say, "Did you see what so-and-so said in the newspaper about, I'm going to call." I said, no, please don't call, Mom. Please don't. They meant it nicely. But that's a parent's instinct. That's a mother's instinct. And that's what brings us to today also, is our instinct to protect our children, is Amy Cohen's instinct to protect children and to understand firsthand the danger that children face. And how do we make this world safer for them? And something as simple as walking to and from school can be the most dangerous part of the day, especially in this city with this complexity, with this density, with this energy, with that New York hurry up, with the constant frenzy. And we've learned it the hard way. We've lost too many people, especially too many young people. And we have to do better, and we can do better. Speed cameras work. It is just undeniable. They work on the numbers. We started with speed cameras in 2014. Deborah Glick was there at that time. We passed the speed camera bill. We know that it saved lives. It is so essential that last year, when the legislature didn't renew the bill for 140 speed cameras in the city, and the speed cameras were actually going to lapse, Senator Gennardis, I don't even think you were a senator then, Andrew Gennardis said this is intolerable. Amy Cohen, the people in this room said this is intolerable, that for the politics of Albany, we're actually going to let speed cameras lapse and jeopardize the lives of young people. And we took an extraordinary action at that time where, by executive order, we actually extended the speed cameras until we could pass legislation authorizing them. So we know they work. A person who gets hit by a vehicle going 30 miles an hour is twice as likely to die as a person who gets hit by a car going 25 miles per hour. That 5 miles per hour from 25 to 30 doubles the likelihood that the person will be killed. Just think about that. Since the speed cameras have gone in, fatalities in school zones have decreased 55%. So it's common sense. It works. We know it works. Why don't you do more of it? And that's what brings us to today. We now have 140 speed cameras in the city. This bill will increase the number to 750 speed cameras in the city. The bill will extend the hours of operation of the speed cameras. The bill will mandate that the city prioritize placement of the cameras by speed and crash data. In other words, the city has to put the cameras in the highest priority areas. And the bill also says that motorists will be notified that they're entering a speed zone. Motorists will see the speed limit. They will see signage that says there are cameras, so the motorists will have notice. And it's fair to the motorists. It's fair to everyone involved. It's common sense. It works. And it is the right thing to do. Before I sign the bill, we're going to hear from Amy and from the senator and the assembly member. But I want to say this to Amy on Mother's Day. We have worked very closely together, and I have tremendous admiration for what you have done. You've gone through one of the worst situations, I think, imaginable for a parent to lose a child. And rather than getting angry, rather than succumbing to the pain, you took that energy and you turned it positive. And you used it as an opportunity to save other children and to make sure other parents didn't feel the pain that you felt. And Amy, this bill will save lives. And that is a tribute to you and all the other mothers on this Mother's Day. So congratulations. Please.
Okay. Well, as the governor said, today is Mother's Day. A very difficult day for many of us here in this room. A day celebrated around the world that honors mothers and motherhood. Yet we, as members of Families for Safe Streets, are missing our children, our parents, our spouses, hold up your pictures, and others who should be marking this day with us. Instead of celebrating, our hearts ache with those not present. And for others in our group, their bodies ache and souls are suffering for the lives they had before being severely injured. And while this day we mourn, today we also celebrate. I love this card. The best gift ever, right? Because today we are honoring motherhood. We are protecting the next generation of children, creating a safe passage to school, changing the culture of reckless driving so that other mothers will get to raise their children, so that other children can grow into adults themselves and hopefully outlive their parents. This is a historic moment recognizing that traffic violence is preventable. And it could never have happened without the leadership of Governor Cuomo. It is my honor to stand beside him today as he signs this bill shortly into law. I also want to give a heartfelt thank you to Assemblywoman Glick, Senator Gonardis, all of the bill's co-sponsors, and Senator Peralta, who is missed and would have loved to have been here with us today. Special thanks to Marco, Ellen, Tom, and everyone from Transportation Alternatives. And finally, I want to give a huge thanks to my FSS family and ask that they stand and be recognized for their incredible courage and tenacity. But I also want to take a minute to reflect on what it would mean to live in a society that truly honors motherhood, not with Hallmark cards and half-hearted sentiments, not with 4-year campaigns that required a coalition of 300 organizations, hundreds of FSS members, thousands of supporters to pass this momentous legislation, nor with 24-hour vigils, marathon walks, and tireless efforts to fight a state senator who killed someone with his car and still brazenly drove dangerously. To truly celebrate motherhood and honor mothers, we need to acknowledge that while this is a huge feat, it is one step forward of many that still need to happen. Honoring motherhood requires that we stop treating them as accidents and acknowledge that these are crashes that can be prevented. Honoring motherhood requires roads designed with safety as the highest priority, places in neighborhoods where children can play without fear of being killed and maimed, streets that make it safe for our mothers, our seniors to cross safely, policies that allow children, not just those under 18, to be protected from speeding drivers. Honoring motherhood requires that driving be a privilege and not a right, that alternatives to driving are available to all New Yorkers in every community. To truly honor motherhood, we would not ask New Yorkers every 40 hours to bury their children, their parents, their loved ones. We would not dismiss the 150 people injured every day and the thousands who suffer life-altering injuries each year. We would not tolerate that if you are black or brown, you are 3 times more likely to die in a crash. To truly honor motherhood, we would recognize that we have an epidemic and put in place every proven life-saving measure immediately. So today, I gotta get my sign. Today we celebrate. We are so grateful. But we also recognize there is still much more to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's have another round of applause for an appreciation for Amy Cohen. As I mentioned before, and as Amy spoke to last year, the speed cameras were actually going to lapse because the legislature failed to act, the Senate failed to renew the legislation. And Andrew Gennardis was a true champion and advocate, not only with passion, but also with skill. And we took an extraordinary measure, extending legislation by executive order, which I'd never done before, frankly. But if there was an occasion to do it, this was the occasion to do it. Andrew Gennardis.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Governor Cuomo, not only for today's bill signing, but for your steadfast leadership on the issue of street safety. When the cameras were going to be turned off last year, the governor came to my district, and he held a rally in my district to call attention to the problem that the cameras were about to go off. And so even from last summer, the governor has been a true champion of this cause, and I thank you very much for that, Governor Cuomo. And also to my colleague, Deborah Glick, in the Assembly for carrying the torch forward all these years. It's been a lonely fight, I think, up in Albany for a while, but I'm so glad that we were able to do this together, side by side, and finally get this done. We've heard the stats. We know how successful this program is. We heard the moral cause that Amy spoke to about why this is important. This is not just about a camera. This is not just about a school zone or speeding or 5 miles or 10 miles or $50 tickets. This issue and the symbolism of this bill goes to the heart of the matter that street safety should be something that we prioritize every single day in our communities. And that's what was lost last year. That's the message that was lost when families were walking a marathon around the block of my predecessor's office to call attention to the urgency of this issue and the pain that was expressed during that walk. When they held a 24-hour vigil, and then they came back the next morning and the candles they lit were kicked over by people because they didn't appreciate how urgent and how important this issue was. This is not just about speed cameras. This is about validating the life of every single person who we've lost and every single person who we're going to save by putting measures like this in place. And this is just the beginning. The fight for street safety continues. We have a lot more work to do, but today we should relish in the fact that we can claim victory on this one issue. So thank you very much to everyone, especially the advocates and families for safe streets. We would not be here without you today. Thank you.
As I mentioned before, Assemblymember Deborah Glick is one of the really special ones. She's always been ahead of the curve. She's always been at the forefront of all the progressive issues. She is tenacious. She has vision. We were together on 2014 on this bill. We worked on bills like marriage equality when nobody said we could get it done. And she truly is an extraordinary legislator. Assemblymember Deborah Glick.
Thank you very much, Governor. Those are very kind words, and I very much appreciate it. And wish my entire family could be here to hear it. But this is for me, a very important day. I have worked with many of you, and my gratitude to Amy and all of the Families for Safe Streets and Transportation Alternatives. They helped guide some of the organizing. They have been fighting for a safer city. We talk about New York as the greatest city in the world, and I believe that. But it is not a livable city if people's lives are in danger every day, and that has been the situation. And people have taken their personal pain and channeled it into an incredible movement for greater safety, not just for children, but for the caregivers, their grandparents who may be taking them to school as their parents are heading to work, the school staff, teachers and paraprofessionals, others who every day try to keep the children of this city safe. So this is a very big deal, and the governor has always been someone who has tried to make the lives of New Yorkers better. We are grateful to him today and on many days when his voice has been so important to not just raising an issue but advancing one. And to Andrew Granardis, who is a new colleague, who in many ways has made all the difference. And we appreciate what has been a terrific start to his career, and one that I am certain will just be the beginning of a wonderful life of service in the state Senate. And I just want to say to all of you how much I personally appreciate the support, the steadfastness, and the compassion that you have shown to each other, and the love that you have shown to each other, because this is about families, this is about our city, this is about making our lives better. And we are here today because of the generosity of your spirit. So thank you. And I think now, Governor, let's sign the bill.
Great.
That's the big part, yeah. All right, there we go.
You think it's easy to sign your name in government? That's exactly right. Congratulations, the bill is signed.